Hello, sixth graders. Welcome to grade 6. I missed you so much. This is Miss Fatim Fardoun. I'm the French coordinator at the International School of Innovation, but I'm also the science teacher for grades 3, 4, 5, and 6. Let's start this year by studying and learning new things about plants. We know lots of things about plants till now, but we will start studying about the basic unit of all plants, or let's say all living things. We'll be learning about the cell. Do you know anything about the cell? But before we start, this was my reaction when they told me that I'm going to teach you this year. Just kidding. I really can't wait for this school year together. I love you and let's start. Every organism or living thing is made up of structures called cells. What do we mean by organisms? Organisms are living things such as people, animals, plants, and every living thing is made of building blocks called cells. Let's take a close look to the tomato skin. If we look close using special tools, we'll see that the tomato skin is made of many tiny things or building blocks that we call cells. The cell is the basic unit of structure and function of an organism. It is the smallest unit with the basic properties of life. Cells exist in a variety of shapes and sizes. Let's take, for example, the human cheek cells or the onion epidermis cells. Or if you want, these are the adult heart cells. So as you can see, a cell can have any shape and cells have many sizes and different functions. The naked eye UI cannot see the details of objects that are very tiny in size, like the cells. For this purpose, magnifying objects such as a hand lens or a microscope are used. So, for this reason, we say that cells are microscopic. We cannot see them without a microscope. Since cells, again, are the basic units, they are so tiny, they cannot be seen without a microscope. The smallest living things on Earth are unicellular organisms. A unicellular organism is also known as a single-celled organism. It is an organism or a living thing that consists of one cell, unlike the multicellular organism. I said, or we saw, that the tomato skin is made of many tomato cells stick to each other. But we have some organisms made of one cell, and we call them microorganisms, like some bacteria and some types of algae. So again, grade 6, what's a cell? The cell is the building block of all living things. The cell is the basic unit of life. Some organisms are made up of one single cell. What do we call them? Microorganisms. Perfect. Like bacteria. While others, like people, are made of trillions of cells. There are lots of different types of cells. Each cell is different and makes a different function. Plants and animals are built from cells also. All cells are the same in many ways. Actually, all cells have three common parts. A cell membrane. The cell membrane is the cell surface that holds the cell together like a thin bag. It holds the cell material inside and controls what enters and leaves the cell. Inside the cell membrane, inside the cell, we have the nucleus, which is the control center of the cell. It controls the way the cell works, like the brain in our body. The cytoplasm, this is a jelly-like substance that holds all the organelles inside the cell. It is the body or the inside of the cell. But what's an organelle? An organelle is a structure or something in a cell that has a special activity. It's like a small machine in the cell that has a job to accomplish and to finish. And in the coming slides, we will see different kinds of organelles. Tell me now, what is the difference between a plant cell and an animal cell? Like I said, cells are different in shapes, they are different in sizes. They have common things together, but also they have different organelles. They do not contain the same organelles inside them. Let's take a look on a plant cell. This is a diagram or a drawing of a typical plant cell. Inside the cell, we have different organelles. One type of organelle that you know very well is the chloroplast. The chloroplast is a structure that holds chlorophyll inside and that helps the plant catch sunlight for photosynthesis, right? This is an animal cell. Do animals need chloroplasts in their cells? Do they go through photosynthesis? No, for sure. Plants do not go through photosynthesis, so they do not need this kind of organelles. They do not contain chloroplasts. But what is the difference? What are the main differences between a plant cell and an animal cell?
All living things are made of microscopic units called cells. Two kinds of cells are plant and animal cells. How cells work to keep living things alive is truly amazing. Cells are made of parts called organelles. Each organelle has a specific job to perform in order to keep the cell functioning. The cell membrane is a semi-permeable layer that surrounds organelles. The job of the cell membrane is similar to a doorway. Just like a door lets things in and out of a room, the cell membrane lets materials in and out of the cell. Although the cell membrane is the outer layer of the animal cell, it is not the outer layer of a plant cell. Plant cells are surrounded by a rigid outer layer called the cell wall. The job of the cell wall is similar to that of a brick wall. Just like a brick wall gives structure and support to a building, a cell's cell wall gives structure and support to a plant cell. In fact, a cell wall prevents the plant cell from bursting when the plant absorbs water. The nucleus is another organelle inside of the cell. The nucleus can be thought of as the control center of the cell. Just like your brain is in control of your body, the nucleus is in control of the cell. However, it is the genetic material, or DNA, inside of the nucleus that determines everything about the cell. The DNA determines the type of the cell and when the cell will replicate. Vacuoles are found in both plant and animal cells. However, the size varies between the two cells. Vacuoles are storage tanks for water. Just like a water tower holds water, a vacuole stores water inside of the cell. In plant cells, you will find a large vacuole, and in animal cells, look for multiple smaller vacuoles. Another part of the cell is the chloroplast. This organelle is found only in plant cells and is the location of photosynthesis. Here, solar energy is used to create food for the plant. Chloroplasts are not found in animal cells because animals must consume food as their main source of energy. The mitochondria is an organelle that takes nutrients in, breaks them down to produce energy for the cell in the process of cellular respiration. You can think of the mitochondria as the powerhouse of the cell because it makes energy. Although mitochondria are found in both plant and animal cells, the majority of mitochondria will be found in animal cells. All organelles are suspended inside of a gel-like substance called cytoplasm. Just like a gelatin dessert with fruit inside, a cell has cytoplasm with organelles inside. Plant and animal cells are both similar and different. Both plant and animal cells have a cell membrane. However, there's only a cell wall in plant cells. A nucleus can be found in both plant and animal cells along with a vacuole. Chloroplasts are only found in plant cells. Cytoplasm and mitochondria are in both plant and animal cells.
Let's do this question together. We have to annotate both plant cells and animal cells. We have a drawing of a plant cell and a drawing of an animal cell. Let's start with the cell membrane. Both plant cells and animal cells have a cell membrane, which is the outside of the cell. It is the outer boundary of the cell, sort of like the skin. It allows some substances in and keeps others out. Do they have a nucleus? Yes, for sure. The plant cell and also the animal cell have a nucleus, which is the brain of the cell. A cytoplasm. The plant cell and the animal cell have a cytoplasm. This cytoplasm holds all the cell's organelles in it. It is mostly water. Like you saw in the video, both plant cells and animal cells have vacuoles in them, but in this picture we cannot see the vacuole in the animal cell. What about the mitochondria? This is where the cell gets its energy. Last year, we talked about respiration in all living things' bodies. We said that through respiration, living things get or make the ATP energy that they need to perform different life activities. And this energy is the energy that we need to grow healthy and to do different activities in life. So, the mitochondria is where the cell gets its energy. In the human body and also in the plant, the food made by the plant or the food that we have digested react with oxygen to make the ATP energy for the cell. First difference between the plant cell and the animal cell is that the plant cell has a cell wall, a thick cell wall on the outside. And also, plant cells contain chloroplasts since plants go through photosynthesis, which is the food making process. This is almost the same question. We have from the left side the animal cell, from the right side the plant cell, and we can clearly see the differences between and the similarities also between these two kinds of cells. You will help me annotate them. Deal? Let's go. What is this? How do we call the outer layer or line or surface of the cell? Cell membrane. Perfect. What is this, guys? The inside of the cell. What do we call it? Cytoplasm. Good job. This is the brain of the cell. And this is the nucleus. Perfect. What are these? This is where the food and the oxygen react together to make the ATP energy that each cell needs to live. These are the mitochondria. Plant cells are covered with another layer, and we call this a cell wall. This is the cell wall of the plant cell, and plant cells have also chloroplasts. Let's recap. What is the basic unit of structure and function of living things? It's the cell. Perfect. Let's give an example of unicellular organisms or microorganisms. Some algae, and some bacteria. That's right. These organisms are made of one single cell. Yes, it's one cell that can live by its own. This is an organism made of one cell only. We have also multicellular organisms like people, animals, plants, that are made of a huge and a large number of cells. Plant cells and animal cells are so different, but they share also some cell parts. Both plant cell and animal cell have a cell membrane. This cell membrane surrounds a cytoplasm in which we have different organelles. A plant cell and an animal cell contain a nucleus inside. They have vacuoles inside. They have mitochondria also. I said they have a cytoplasm made of water in which the cytoplasm in which we have different organelles. We have some differences between a plant cell and an animal cell. The plant cell is also covered with a cell wall, with a thick cell wall. The animal cell does not have a cell wall. And plant cells also have chloroplasts in them, where we have discs of chlorophyll that helps the plant catch sunlight for photosynthesis. We know for sure that cells are microscopic, which means that they cannot be seen by naked eyes, but we have to use a microscope to observe them. Hope you enjoyed the lesson. Goodbye.